I'm looking for a bread pan for my favourite bread. It needs to be a specific size, but I don't want it to be round. So today I'm making a round tray and then I'll try and turn it into a square. I'm using 1¼ kilos of clay. And if you're familiar with this channel, you know that it's my favourite, yellow speckle. I start by centering the clay, and then I flatten the clay to about 20 centimetres in diameter. If you enjoy the variety of items we make on our channel, be sure to subscribe and you won't miss any of our videos. Now I push down into the clay, leaving about 3/4 centimetre in the base. And I open out flat across the base. This is a pretty simple form at this stage. It'll get a little trickier as I start to modify the form. So the dimensions I'm after are 20 centimetres diameter and 9.5 centimetres height. Of course, this is just for my perfect loaf. I compress the base really well. I do this with a sponge, pressing the sponge onto the base and running back and forth a few times. And I bring up the walls. Because this dish is going in the oven, I want to make sure that the walls and the base are even in thickness, and that the rim is thick enough to withstand the distortion that comes later. And now I use a rib to straighten the outer wall. And I trim around the base and wire through. I set aside for the walls to firm up. So I'm ready to start shaping. And I start by gently pushing the sides in. And I'm just pushing into a square shape. I push on all 4 sides. The clay can't be too dry for this, certainly not leather hard. So if my pot's too dry, it will crack as I shape it. I'm trying to keep the walls straight, so I'm keeping my hands quite flat. But I still misshape a little as I'm pushing the base of the pot in. And then I have the idea of using some boards to press. So I gently press with the boards, making sure the sides are parallel. And this seems to work a little better. I set aside to dry a little more. So this is why I do the shaping first. If I wait till after trimming, the clay would be too dry to shape. Luckily, the trimming's pretty simple. I trim across the base and very gently around the modified foot. And then I smooth the base with my rib. So making square dishes really lends itself to hand building. But my studio is very small and limited in bench space. I find space really does help when hand building with slabs. And the resulting squared off dish is really satisfying. I'm thinking those corners are going to be easy to clean. I set aside to dry fully and bisque fire. My glazing is going to be really simple. I'll pour a white glossy liner glaze on the inside. My liner glaze is very functional. It's easy to clean and food safe. This makes it my go-to glaze for kitchenware. For the outside, I've chosen a sandy coloured glaze that I brush on. I want a rustic, homey feel to my baking dish. When you're making ovenware, it's doubly important that you have a good glaze fit. That's because glaze fit can really affect the strength of your fired pot. This, along with proper design and taking care of your pot, will greatly add to the durability of your pot. And I glaze fire. My bake is finished and the shape is spot on. I wasn't sure if it would revert to a more rounded form in the firing, but luckily it's really kept that squared off shape. And I can't wait to try it out. So my perfect loaf is pretty heavy on the seeds and nuts. It's a really dense bread and doesn't really rise. I really haven't been able to find anything that's the right shape. And that's why I'm so excited about making my own baking dish. The other thing I really like about this recipe is that I can bring it up to temperature in the oven. And that, along with slow cooling, means there's less possibility of thermal shock. All in all, this is the perfect combination. After an hour in the oven, my bread's ready and it slides out of the baking dish. I did line my baking dish with baking paper just to make it a little easier to remove. Baking this way has given my loaf a bit of a crust. I think using a ceramic dish is actually beneficial for this. Provides an even and well-distributed heat. So one of the joys of being a cook and a potter is that I can make the kitchenware that perfectly fits my needs. For more unique kitchenware, check out my pottery steamer video. Another very custom project. And as always, happy potting.